Hello everyone. Tonight we're going to explore something so weird, so beautiful, and so close to you that you'll never look at your own head the same way again. Imagine this, you're floating in complete darkness, and all around you, faint sparks begin to glow. They pulse like distant stars, warm, soft, familiar. You realize you're inside your own brain, and it kind of looks like space. You can either rethink everything or fall asleep without even noticing. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really like what I'm doing here. Also, post where you're listening from and what time it is where you are. I always love seeing how far this sleepy spaceship travels. Now, turn down the lights. Maybe crank up the AC for some soft noise, and let's get started tonight. Section 1. You're lying back now, muscles relaxing, mind open. And here's the question. What if your brain isn't just like a universe? What if it is one, imagine the shape of a jellyfish? Not the slimy, don't touch me, I'll ruin your vacation kind, but a soft, celestial jellyfish, glowing from within, floating in a warm bath of stars. Now place that jellyfish inside your skull. Your brain doesn't sit still like a lump of clay. It pulses. It ripples. Electrical storms flash across it. Little pulses of meaning, memories, hunger, joy, weird flashes of regret from that time you said you too to a waiter who told you to enjoy your meal. Scientists say your brain houses roughly 86 billion neurons. These neurons are like little batteries, sending out electrical impulses, each with the potential to connect with thousands of others. And those connections, they're more vast than the stars in our galaxy. In fact, by some estimates, the number of synaptic connections in your brain may be greater than the number of atoms in the known universe. Okay, quick pause, let that sink in. So here you are, jellyfish in a hoodie, holding a universe behind your eyes. And this isn't just poetic fluff. Scientists at institutions like the Blue Brain Project once noticed something curious. If you map out neural pathways in 3 dimensions, they form patterns that look eerily similar to the cosmic web, the large-scale structure of the universe itself. Both brains and the universe contain densely connected nodes. Think neurons or galaxies joined by filaments, surrounded by seemingly empty space. Cosmologists and neuroscientists still argue about whether this is coincidence, convergence, or some deeper truth we haven't wrapped our sleepy little heads around. And here's something even weirder when you fall asleep like you're about to do tonight. Your brain doesn't shut down. It goes into orbit. Different regions activate in coordinated bursts, like solar flares, and your mind begins to simulate entire worlds, places, conversations, even emotions you haven't yet lived. Now, you might be thinking, yeah, but my dreams are mostly just me showing up to school pantsless. Sure. But you also might have dreamed a full alternate life, made up songs, solved problems, or even seen loved ones long gone like little messages sent from one part of the galaxy to another. It's in those moments between being awake and asleep that you can almost sense it, that your brain is less like a machine and more like a world. A few years ago, a neuroscientist named Giulio Tononi proposed integrated information theory, which suggests that consciousness arises from the way information is both stored and connected in a system, not just from complexity, but from the structure of complexity, like an ecosystem, or, you guessed it, a universe. Meanwhile, back in your bed, you shift slightly and feel your body getting heavier. Your toes go offline. Your shoulders melt into the mattress. The jellyfish is glowing brighter now, pulses of thought slowing down, beginning to ripple outward instead of inward. But wait, there's more. Here's a fun fact in one sleep study. Scientists discovered that rats dream about running mazes before they even try them in real life. Their brains simulate the scenario in advance, like preloading a level in a video game. So if rats can create mini practice universes while snoozing, what do you think you're doing in your dreams? Maybe every night, you're not just resting. Maybe you're traveling to the center of your own strange little cosmos. And maybe, just maybe, that feeling you get sometimes, when everything seems connected, when an old song hits at the exact right time, or when you get a chill from a déjà vu. Maybe that's your inner astronaut waving from somewhere far away, a reminder that you are a living galaxy with a heartbeat. Quick joke before we sink deeper. If your brain really is a universe, then that probably explains why you keep forgetting where you parked, because there's just too much empty space and not enough signs. So now, just float. Let your inner jellyfish drift. No thinking required, your galaxy will keep spinning without you. Section 2. The stars are closer now, not literal ones. Of course, though, maybe. You're lying there. Soft blanket over one leg, the other exposed to regulate temperature like some ancient sleep ritual. And in the darkness behind your closed eyelids, a new scene begins. You're no longer in bed. You're drifting between two massive structures, both pulsing, both alive. One is a tangle of neurons. The other is the cosmic web, the backbone of the universe. And they look the same. No, really. In 2012, a physicist named Franco Vatsa and a neuroscientist named Alberto Felitti published a paper comparing simulations of the cosmic web to models of neural networks. What they found was spooky despite a size difference of 27 orders of magnitude. The two systems showed striking visual and mathematical similarities. You're floating now, somewhere between a synapse and a galaxy cluster. Which is which, who cares? The same principles, nodes, filaments, dynamic links govern both. It's like the universe and your brain read the same design manual. A single neuron has dendrites and axons, branching like trees, exchanging signals. Meanwhile, the universe features galaxies clustered along filament lines of dark matter, forming a giant sponge-like shape, or maybe spaghetti, depending on your mood. And here's the kicker. Even though the human brain and the observable universe are radically different in content, size, and purpose, they each use about 25% of their energy to process or maintain structure. That's right. Your brain, for all its constant chatter, is a cosmic power hog, just like the universe. Now imagine you're walking down one of those filaments. It's soft underfoot, no sound, but with every step, you're activating a thought, connecting two distant memories. You don't know how you got here, but you sense that this path was always part of you. Some scientists still argue about whether these parallels are meaningful, or just pattern-seeking behavior, our brain's tendency to find connections, even where none exist. Like when you see a face in your toast or think Mercury being in retrograde explains your phone dying. But even skeptics admit the resemblance is uncanny. Is it so strange to think that nature might reuse good ideas? Trees and lungs both branch to maximize surface area. Honeycombs and soap bubbles both form hexagons because it's efficient. Maybe brains and universes both rely on modular connectivity, tight-knit hubs that can still talk to distant nodes. Imagine someone zooming out on your life. Not the Instagram version, the real thing. Every memory, every idea, every weird, intrusive thought about whether ducks have dreams they do. From a distance, Your inner world starts to resemble something vast, layered, looped, laced with sparks. Here's a fun detour. In 2017, a team built a map of the human connectome, a full wiring diagram of the brain. And when it was animated, it looked like a living galaxy in fast-forward. Bursts of color flared between regions like information supernovas. And that was just someone thinking about a math problem. Meanwhile, outside your head, the universe is doing a very similar thing. Galaxies collide. Stars flare out. Gravitational waves ripple through space-time like brain waves through tissue. And you're lying here, a sleeper astronaut, right on the seam between two infinities. Joke time. If your brain and the universe are really twins, then that explains why neither of them comes with a user manual. Just endless updates and occasional crashes. Let's slow things down for a second. Take a breath. In through your nose. Hold it. Out through your mouth. Again. As your muscles settle deeper into the mattress. Picture yourself standing in a dark field. Overhead, the Milky Way cuts across the sky like someone spilled sugar across velvet. But now, look down, and the same pattern is glowing beneath your feet. You're surrounded, not by stars, but by thoughts. That sound you just heard, it was the universe exhaling. Or maybe it was your neighbor's fridge. Either way, it doesn't matter. Remember the jellyfish from earlier? It's still with you, but now it's expanded. Its tentacles stretch across the cosmos, each glowing tip a neuron or a galaxy, depending on how sleepy you're feeling. Each pulse is a question, a memory, a decision you haven't made yet. And maybe that's the point. Your brain isn't just similar to the universe in structure. Maybe it's a microcosm, a pocket of reality that mirrors the whole. The philosopher Hermes Trismegistus say that 5 times fast once claimed, "As above, so below." It was meant spiritually. But lately, even physicists are starting to see patterns that echo that idea. So as you drift further, consider this. Maybe the stars are thinking. Maybe every neuron in your brain is a universe in itself, dreaming of something bigger. And maybe, just maybe, when you lie down at night and close your eyes, you aren't escaping the world. You're returning to it. Section 3. You're floating again. Not through space this time, but through something smaller, softer, electric, like mist woven out of fireflies. You've entered your own head, not metaphorically, not philosophically, literally. If neurons were visible to the naked eye, this would be a light show so dazzling you'd need sunscreen for your brain. Everywhere you look, neurons flicker and fire in impossible synchronicity. They reach out like glowing tree branches, brushing against one another. You follow the pulse of a single signal, jumping from node to node, like a star hopping galaxies, leaving behind a trail of memory dust and semi-formed regrets about texts you never sent. Welcome to the 86 billion star hypothesis. That's how many neurons scientists estimate you have tucked in your skull, around 86 billion. Each one connects to thousands of others through synapses, making for a total of 100 trillion potential connections. For reference, that's more than there are stars in the Milky Way, or ants on Earth, or online dating profiles you'll never match with. And here's where it gets tricky. No two brains are wired the same, not even in identical twins. You are your own galaxy, unique, improvised, slightly under-caffeinated. Neuroscientists still argue about what makes the brain so powerful. Some say it's the number of neurons. Others claim it's the pattern of connections. Like comparing a city by how many roads it has versus how those roads are mapped. A single thought can ripple through different brain regions: sight, sound, memory, emotion, just like light, passing through various layers of the universe. And speaking of thought right now, you're having one. Or are you? Let's test it. Try to think of nothing. Go ahead. No words, no pictures, not even a blank screen, just pure void. You failed. Your brain is like a cosmic overachiever. It never stops. Even when you're sleeping, it simulates worlds, reviews grocery lists, replays that time you said you too to the waiter who said, "Enjoy your meal, yes," again, and generates backup personalities for imaginary arguments. It's like a multiverse, but powered by caffeine and unresolved childhood moments. Here's a delightful and slightly horrifying fact. There's a tiny creature called the sea squirt that eats its own brain once it settles in one spot for life. Because, hey, no need for navigation if you're just gonna vibe on a rock forever. But you never stop moving, not physically, maybe, but mentally. That interactivity, that beautiful, crackling neural fireworks display, that is your navigation system. And this whole galaxy of yours operates on electricity. Every thought, every feeling, every embarrassing high school memory is the result of tiny voltage changes, spikes and waves that travel between neurons. These spikes are measured in millivolts, but their collective energy could power a low-watt light bulb. So technically, your thoughts could light a room. Emotionally, they already do. Still, scientists can't fully explain how neurons firing results in you, in consciousness, in the taste of mango, in remembering your dog's name but not where you left your keys. The philosopher David Chalmers calls this the hard problem of consciousness. Why does all this neural activity feel like anything at all? And the debate rages on. Physicists argue about consciousness like it's a badly written sci-fi plot. Neuroscientists say we just haven't found the right equations yet. Spiritualists nod sagely and sip herbal tea. Meanwhile, your brain is over here doing light-speed math, composing dreams, and solving existential riddles like whether your cat actually loves you or just knows you're the one with the can opener. Let's bring this home. Picture a single neuron. Let's name it Jeff. Jeff the neuron doesn't do much alone. He can twitch, sure. Maybe send a signal or two. But connect Jeff with Jill, Javier, June, and 85.9999 billion of their closest friends. And suddenly you get personality, language, love, the memory of that one great sandwich from 3 years ago. You get you. Each neuron is like a star, but it's the constellations that make the sky beautiful. Joke time. If neurons had social media, they'd be the worst influencers. Just fired off another action potential. Feeling electric. Blessed. Neurospicy. So now, lying there, you begin to feel it. That sense of something vast happening just below your awareness. Like there's a great civilization living in your head, building bridges of thought, painting galaxies of perception, arguing about who gets to control the hands during karaoke night. And you don't have to do anything to make this happen. Just rest. Let your breath do its work. Let your eyelids grow heavy. Let the neurons do their quiet dance of light, signaling to one another in the dark like fireflies at a summer camp no one remembers signing up for. Maybe you'll dream tonight of flying, or floating, or being back in that strange house from childhood that never really existed. Maybe your brain, your personal universe will take you somewhere new, somewhere meaningful, or just somewhere soft. Either way, The stars in your skull are ready. Section 4. You're awake inside the dream now, or maybe dreaming inside your wakefulness. It's hard to tell. There's a gentle hum, like the purring of a content galaxy, and you're floating in a quiet chamber made of thoughts. You look around, and everything is familiar, but nothing has a name. This is the inside of consciousness. And at the center, there's you. Not your body, not your voice, not even your name. Just the feeling of being here, present, aware, like a flashlight in the dark, observing whatever it lands on. Welcome to the idea of the internal observer, the you that watches everything else happen. This concept isn't new. In fact, it's been haunting philosophers for centuries. René Descartes famously said, "I think, therefore I am." But modern neuroscience makes things even weirder. Because when we try to find the I in the brain, it keeps disappearing. There's no single spot in your head where you live, no glowing command center, no cerebral throne. Instead, your sense of self emerges from a constantly shifting network of brain regions, perception, memory, attention, body awareness, all working together like a jazz band with no conductor. Somehow, this mess creates you, the internal astronaut, floating inside the nebula of your own mind, watching. The technical term for this strange phenomenon is metacognition, thinking about thinking. You can observe your own emotions, monitor your reactions, even judge your judgments. And yet, the observer can never fully observe itself, like a mirror trying to reflect its own glass. This creates a problem, or maybe a playground. Let's imagine you're walking through your memory palace. One door leads to your childhood bedroom, another to your favorite birthday, another opens to your deepest fear, wearing a birthday hat and asking for cake. And standing in the hallway, clipboard in hand, is you, or at least the you that observes all the other versions. That quiet presence behind your thoughts, noticing, commenting, worrying sometimes, occasionally telling you that yes, you did leave the stove on, but who's observing that you see the loop? This is why some scientists still argue about whether consciousness is a process or an illusion. Is the observer just another part of the show, or is it the audience? Are you the puppeteer, the puppet, or the hands clapping in the dark, joke time? If your brain were a sitcom, the internal observer would be the character who never says much but always drinks coffee and stares into the camera during the awkward moments. Let's switch perspectives. You're now a tiny explorer riding on a glial cell, a support cell in your brain. Kind of like a cosmic barista, keeping everything balanced. As you glide past neural highways, you see thoughts like lightning bolts jumping from one cortex to another. Emotional weather systems pass overhead, and in the center of it all, there's a stillness, a silence, the thing that notices. This is what some call the default mode network. It's the part of your brain that activates when you're not focused on anything in particular, when you're daydreaming, remembering, wandering mentally through space and time. It's also one of the brain's most mysterious and active systems. Some researchers think it's tied directly to your sense of self. So, who are you when that network goes offline in deep meditation, under anesthesia, or during certain kinds of neurological events? This default mode can dim or disappear, and people often describe it as ego loss, the quiet fading of the observer. Not scary, just vast. One person said it felt like becoming the room. Another said it was like watching the ocean realize it's not separate from the wave. And here's the twist: this dissolution often feels peaceful, like relief, like the weight of being you gets temporarily lifted, and you just are. Of course, your brain doesn't love this idea. It spent years building your personality, your preferences, your love of spicy snacks, your hatred of slow elevators, and that one oddly specific memory of a pigeon stealing your sandwich in front of your crush. Your brain has worked hard to keep you consistent. But deep down, you suspect that the observer might not be fixed. Maybe it's just a flashlight beam, shining on this thought, that feeling, that body, but not the light itself. And if that's true, if the you watching your thoughts isn't separate from the thoughts, then maybe you're not a little person trapped in your head. Maybe you're the whole room, the whole dream, the whole galaxy of experience. Let that idea rest with you, like a blanket you didn't know you needed, like a song without words, or like the soft awareness that even when you're asleep, something in you is still watching, not judging, just noticing. The rise and fall of breath, the warm pressure of the pillow, the fading edges of the day. So if the brain is a universe, then the observer is its moon, always reflecting, always following, always just a little out of reach. Section 5. The moon is gone now. You're still drifting, still in your mind, but now the light is different, dimmer, softer, like twilight in a place that doesn't have a sun. Thoughts don't move in straight lines anymore. They spiral, swirl, curve like comets drawn by invisible forces. You're not just watching your thoughts, you're orbiting them. Welcome to the gravitational pull of emotion, habit, and memory. A thought begins with a flicker, say, a random image of your third-grade teacher, or the smell of cinnamon toast. That flicker doesn't vanish. It pulls in other thoughts, forming a cluster. Maybe now you're thinking about school lunches, then embarrassment, then an unresolved email to your boss. Suddenly you're in a whole thought system, and you don't even remember how you got here. This is what we'll call synaptic gravity. No, not a real physics law, but close enough in brain terms. When one neuron fires, it often triggers others, and some neural pathways are stronger than others, simply because you've walked them so many times. They become like cosmic highways for your thoughts to travel, just like how a planet forms by attracting dust and debris. Your mental habits form by clustering similar thoughts. Sadness attracts more sadness. Confidence, more confidence. These aren't just metaphors. They're neural realities. The more a pathway is used, the more likely it is to fire again. This is known as Hebbian theory neurons that fire together, wire together. It's why you can spiral into an overthinking loop from just one awkward moment, or why a single compliment can anchor your mood all day. Right now, you're inside one of those loops. It's not bad or good. It just is. You watch a thought float by a memory, a worry, a hope, and instead of reacting, you let it orbit. You don't chase it. You don't swat it away. You just float with it, like space junk, but adorable. Let's zoom out. Imagine each of your recurring thoughts as a planet. Some are rocky and dry, unfinished tasks, annoying conversations, bad puns. Others are gas giants heavy with emotion, difficult to land on, and a few are made of light, quick flashes of joy, a joke that still makes you laugh, the way someone once looked at you like you were magic. Your brain is full of these orbits, some stable, some chaotic, and once in a while, two thoughts crash into each other and birth something new. That's called an insight, a sudden, unexpected connection between previously unrelated ideas. It's the brain's version of a starburst galaxy, and it's why you sometimes solve problems in the shower or get a breakthrough idea after you've given up. Your thoughts were just waiting to realign, like moons in a forgotten solar system. Joke time. If your brain really does have orbits, then intrusive thoughts are like rogue meteors yelling, "Remember that time in 6th grade at the worst possible moment?" Let's go even deeper. There's a region in your brain called the basal ganglia, which helps control motor functions and habit formation. Think of it as mission control for repetitive behavior. It's what lets you drive home without remembering the turns, or scroll on your phone without remembering why you picked it up in the first place. These automatic orbits are efficient, but they can also trap you. Get stuck in one long enough, and it becomes a neural rut, like a satellite looping endlessly around a dead planet. But here's the cool part. You can change your thought orbits. It takes awareness, repetition, and sometimes just one jolt of perspective. That's where you are now, floating in this calm space, looking at your inner solar system and realizing you don't have to be pulled into every orbit that passes by. You can just observe, just be the telescope. Let that land, let it echo. Maybe right now, there's a memory trying to pull you in, a worry circling close, a to-do list pretending it's more urgent than your breath. But you dear cosmic sleeper, you don't have to act. Not yet. Not now. You are the sky. Let the planets spin. Let the thoughts loop. Let the waves of electricity move through you like gravity shaping stardust. Because even when everything in your head feels messy, tangled, or loud, there's always this quiet place, this soft float, this orbit of stillness. So, if thoughts have gravity, maybe sleep is your escape velocity. And tonight, you're just about to break free. Section 6. The light begins to dim, not into darkness, but into forgetting. Not in a scary way, in the kind of way that feels like relief, like taking off shoes after a long walk. You're moving now, deeper into your own mind, toward the places where things disappear. You've reached the black holes of memory. Not everything you've ever known is still in there. The name of your kindergarten best friend gone. The location of your passport right now. Let's not talk about it. The plot of that movie you swear you loved but can't recall a single scene from vanished. This isn't failure, it's function. Let's introduce a concept: transience. It's one of the official 7 sins of memory, according to psychologist Daniel Schachter. Transience refers to the natural fading of memory over time, like chalk on a sidewalk. Your memories are built to wash away unless reinforced. But here's the strange twist: your brain doesn't delete memories like files. Instead, they fall into shadow. They collapse. You know they were there. You just can't access them. Like galaxies swallowed by black holes, still real, still massive, but hidden from view. These are the cognitive event horizons, and just like their cosmic cousins, once something slips past the boundary, it's nearly impossible to retrieve. But maybe, just maybe, some of it leaks out. Have you ever had a word on the tip of your tongue? That's your brain playing hide and seek with itself. Somewhere. The information still exists, it's just orbiting outside of reach. We call that retrieval failure, and it happens to everyone, usually at the worst possible times, like during job interviews, or when someone asks, "What was that book you wouldn't stop talking about?" and your brain goes, "Never heard of books. Who even are we?" Now imagine yourself floating above one of these black holes. It looks like a memory. You're not sure which one. Maybe something from childhood, or a dream you forgot as you woke up. It pulls at you not aggressively, but with curiosity. You lean in, and for a second, a scent hits you. A face, a laugh, a feeling. Then it's gone. Because that's what memory is. Imperfect, glitchy, beautiful, and scientists still argue about whether forgetting is a bug or a feature. Some believe the brain must prune old connections to make room for new ones, like a cosmic gardener, snipping dying stars so brighter ones can shine. Others suggest forgetting protects us, that some things fade for a reason, that a perfect memory would drive us all a little mad. Speaking of which, ever heard of hyperthymesia? It's an extremely rare condition where someone can recall almost every day of their life in vivid detail. That sounds cool until you realize they can't stop. The pain, the awkwardness, the grief, it's all just a moment away. For most of us, forgetting is not a flaw. It's freedom. Joke time. If memories are galaxies, then I must have left mine in a distant corner of Andromeda right next to my car keys. Let's go deeper. Think of your mind like a vast library where the lights randomly flicker. Most of the books are there, but only some shelves are ever fully lit at once. And every time you recall a memory, you risk changing it. This is called reconsolidation, the process by which every retrieval is also a rewrite. So the more you remember something, the more you bend it, tilt it, shape it, like gravity warping time, which means some of your most cherished memories might be fictions now, not lies, just lovingly edited truths. Your brain is the unreliable narrator of your life story. But that's okay, because you're not here to preserve perfect snapshots. You're here to experience them, even when they fade, even when they melt into dreams, or drip into your sleep like old photos dropped in warm water. And speaking of sleep, did you know forgetting is part of dreaming? During REM sleep, your brain performs something called synaptic downscaling. It literally weakens unnecessary connections like emptying the mental recycling bin, so the important stuff can stand out. It's the brain's way of saying you don't need to remember that ad you saw for avocado socks. You do need to remember where you parked. Although, let's be honest, you'll forget both. So here you are, floating near the event horizon of thought, watching old ideas disappear into shadow. And instead of fighting it, you allow it. You breathe out. You surrender a little more. Because not everything needs to be remembered. Some things are meant to vanish. Some thoughts are better felt than filed. And some moments like this one are beautiful because they're fleeting. So as you drift, let yourself forget what comes next. Forget the ticking clock. Forget the weight of the week. Let the past dissolve like a chalk drawing in the rain. You're not losing memories. You're making space. Section 7. You're still in your head, but it's changing shape. Everything's moving. Not like a lava lamp, though, that's a vibe, but more like a galaxy gently bending in slow motion. What once felt fixed and solid is now rippling, curling, rewiring itself under your pillow. You've reached the morphing architecture of your mind. This is neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reshape and rewire itself over time. And it's not just something that happens in kids or during therapy montages in movies. It's happening right now while you lie here, blinking once every 30 seconds. Your brain is literally changing its own structure. It's not a metaphor, it's biology. When you learn something new, or repeat something often, or feel something strongly, your brain strengthens certain pathways. It adds new branches to neurons. It trims old connections. It adapts just like a galaxy does over billions of years. In the beginning, galaxies are chaotic, wild, full of collisions. Then gravity takes over, and structure appears: spirals, ellipses, even bars. But even these aren't permanent. Galaxies evolve. They stretch, twist, collapse, birth new stars from the remnants of old ones. So do you. Every conversation, every heartbreak, every TikTok rabbit hole you fell into at 2 a.m. It all leaves a mark. Not metaphorically, physically. Your brain reorganizes based on experience. And the best part? It never stops. Even in old age, brains can still sprout new neurons in a process called neurogenesis. There's a beautiful weirdness in this. You are both sculptor and sculpture, galaxy and stardust, observer and rewiring technician, and you do it all while eating toast and Googling how to tell if a plant is dead. Joke time. If my brain is constantly remodeling itself, I'd like to have a word with the interior decorator who keeps installing panic buttons in the bathroom. So let's visualize it. Picture your mind as a city. One day, an old bridge collapses. But instead of disaster, your brain reroutes the traffic, builds a detour, constructs a new path through a part of town you'd forgotten. Maybe it even plants trees along the way. That's recovery. That's change. That's how you learn to be kinder to yourself, or to move past something that used to stop you, or how a memory that once made your chest ache now just makes your shoulders drop with quiet acceptance. But neuroplasticity isn't just emotional, it's sensory, too. Blind people often develop enhanced hearing or touch. The brain repurposes regions, turning what once processed vision into something else. Like cosmic recycling. You don't use a piece of your inner galaxy, no problem. The stars get reassigned. It's one of the strangest and most hopeful facts in neuroscience: the brain will make do. It adapts, it evolves, it heals. And sometimes, that healing looks weird. You might cry during a car commercial. You might randomly crave a childhood cereal. You might have a sudden desire to walk a different way home. That's your brain nudging you, building new patterns, testing new roads, asking, what if we tried this instead? Even dreams play a role here. During sleep, especially deep and REM stages, your brain consolidates memories and problem solves. It links new information with old knowledge. It replays emotional moments like a director editing scenes. And when you wake up, you're not the same person you were when you fell asleep. Seriously. Brain scans show measurable shifts after just one night of rest. It's like a galactic update patch. You went to bed as version 8.3, and now you're 8.4 with slightly better emotional processing and the sudden ability to remember the smell of Play-Doh. And what about trauma? Here's the hard but hopeful truth. Trauma also rewires the brain, but so does healing. Therapists talk about repatterning experiences, relearning safety, reassociating memories. It's slow, it's gentle, but it's possible. Always. Because you are not fixed. You are not stuck. You are not frozen in some psychological amber. You are plastic in the best way, malleable, shapeable, fluid. And that means you're never too late to become someone else, or someone more like yourself. So as you lie here, warm under your blanket, let your brain do what it's always done: grow. You don't have to control it, just rest. and let the neurons stretch. Let the filaments find new friends. Let the galaxies inside you curl into new spirals. Tonight, you're becoming, softly, slowly, silently, a better version of your ever-changing self. Section 8. You're dreaming now, not the deep, confusing, why is my dentist my high school ex and also a toaster kind of dream, but the lucid edge of dreaming. That fuzzy borderland where thoughts wear costumes and logic takes a nap. Tonight, your mind is generating entire universes for your personal entertainment. Welcome to the dream multiverse. You're walking through a landscape made of soft colors and impossible architecture. A stairway curves upward into a sky made of ocean. A tree grows upside down and hums your favorite lullaby. Somewhere in the distance, your childhood dog is arguing with a philosopher. This is normal here. In dreams, your brain stops checking for realism. The prefrontal cortex, which normally helps with logic and decision-making, goes quiet. Meanwhile, the limbic system, your emotional brain, ramps up. It's like handing the wheel to your heart and saying, "Take us somewhere weird." And it does. Every night, you enter a series of immersive, three-dimensional simulations. They're full of characters, settings, emotions, and rules, except the rules are made of rubber, and the characters are sometimes your mailman with your mom's voice. Neuroscientists still argue about why we dream. Some say it's memory consolidation. Others say it's emotional processing. Some suggest it's just a side effect of neural activity like your brain humming in its sleep. But no one knows for sure. What we do know is your dreams are crafted by you. Not the you reading this. The deeper you. The one with access to every smell, every face, every fear you've ever filed away and forgotten. And here's the twist. Your dreams aren't just random. They're patterned. The people who show up, the loops that repeat, the feelings that echo, they're trying to tell you something. Not in a spooky fortune cookie kind of way, but in a here's how your brain is working through stuff you didn't finish during the day kind of way. Ever notice how you have a dream about running away when you're overwhelmed, or teeth falling out when you're anxious? These are not glitches. They're metaphors, crafted by your own neural theater troupe. Joke time. If dreams are a movie your brain makes every night, then my brain is clearly an experimental director who loves plot twists and has a thing for abandoned shopping malls. But here's the science: magic dreams simulate possibilities. Studies have shown that people who rehearse activities in dreams, like athletes or musicians, can show actual improvement in waking performance. It's like your brain is doing late-night training sessions without your permission. There's even a theory called threat simulation theory. It suggests dreams evolved as a way to practice handling danger in a safe environment. You run from the tiger. You fall off the cliff. You wake up sweaty, but alive. Your brain logs the rehearsal as useful data. And dreams don't always follow one storyline. They blend. They branch. Like alternate timelines. You're at a beach. Then you're at work. Then you're in a video game from 1997. Somehow, it all makes sense while it's happening. Because your dreaming brain doesn't care about continuity. It cares about connection. Emotional logic, not narrative logic. Which means, in a way, you're experiencing multiverses every night. Different versions of you, different outcomes, different rules. And sometimes, when you wake up, you carry a bit of it with you. That strange déjà vu. That feeling that something unfinished just happened. That scent you can't name but swear you remember. These are dream residue neural footprints from worlds you built while unconscious. Lucid dreaming takes it a step further. That's when you realize, mid-dream, that you're dreaming and can begin to direct the story. Fly, shift locations, ask questions, hug the sun. Scientists believe lucid dreaming activates parts of the brain normally offline during REM, creating a unique hybrid state of awareness. If your brain is a universe, then lucid dreams are the wormholes, shortcuts to agency, portals to possibility. And what's the weirdest part of all this, even when you're not dreaming about yourself? You're still the dreamer. Every character you meet is a mask worn by your own mind. Every setting is a memory or a mashup of memories. You're the architect, the cast, the soundtrack, and the popcorn vendor. So tonight, as you drift deeper into this sleeping multiverse, consider this: maybe each dream is a version of you you'll never become. Maybe they're all real, in the way fireflies are real for the few seconds you see them. Maybe dreaming isn't escapism. Maybe it's expansion, a rehearsal for being more, a practice run for realities that don't fit inside your waking day. So sleep well, dream traveler. You've got whole worlds to visit before the sun even rises. Section 9. You're in a cave now. Not a spooky, dripping, horror movie cave, but a soft, endless cavern of fog and echoes. Things move out here. Quiet shapes, half-formed thoughts. The air feels heavy, like it's full of secrets that don't want to be discovered. You've wandered into the deep. This is the subconscious. And if your waking mind is a well-lit kitchen, your subconscious is the attic, the basement, the crawl space under the stairs. Stuff gets tossed here. Memories, fears, half-finished thoughts. It's dusty, confusing, and incredibly powerful. Think of your mind as an iceberg. The conscious part, what you're aware of, is just the tip, floating above water. But the unconscious, or the subconscious, if you like softer edges, is everything underneath. Massive, hidden, shaping every move you make without you noticing. And here's where it gets deliciously weird. Scientists still argue about how much control the subconscious actually has. Freud, of course, made a whole career out of mapping the unconscious. Jung added archetypes and shadows. But modern cognitive science sees it more like an automated system, a bundle of predictive algorithms formed by experience. In other words, your subconscious is you on autopilot, and it might be running most of the show. Some researchers suggest up to 95% of your behavior is subconscious. 95. That's the same percentage as dark matter in the universe. Stuff we know must be there, but can't see, can't measure directly. But we feel its gravity. We see how it bends light. So what if your subconscious is the dark matter of your brain? Massive, invisible, holding everything together. Ever had a gut feeling? That's your subconscious doing fast pattern recognition. It can process information up to 500,000 times faster than your conscious brain. It notices tone shifts, micro-expressions, inconsistencies way before you do, which might explain why you sometimes just know something's off. It might also explain why you walk into a room and suddenly feel uneasy, or why you dream about places you've never been, or why a song can hit you so hard you tear up before the chorus even starts. That's your shadow brain, operating quietly, constantly. Joke time. If my subconscious is running the show, I'd like to request fewer three memories of things I said in 2011. Please and thank you. Let's get a little deeper. Your subconscious isn't just memory storage, it's a meaning factory. It takes in billions of sensory inputs and filters them for relevance. It decides what makes it into your awareness. It organizes reality so your conscious mind doesn't drown in data. And like any system, it develops shortcuts. That's where things get messy, because those shortcuts, also known as schemas, are based on experience. And experience isn't always fair or accurate. So your subconscious may carry around outdated maps, broken compasses, emotional junk mail from childhood. This is where implicit bias comes from, or irrational fears, or self-sabotage. These aren't personal failures. They're artifacts, glitches, unchecked instructions written in the quiet corners of your brain. The good news: you can update the code, slowly, gently, by noticing patterns, by bringing the shadows into the light. Not to fight them, but to see them clearly. You can't heal what you pretend not to feel. And one of the most powerful tools for this sleep. During REM sleep, your subconscious steps into the director's chair. It sifts through memories, replays emotional moments, and subtly adjusts your worldview. It's why, after a good night's sleep, things often feel different, clearer, softer around the edges. Some therapists even use dream interpretation as a way to tap into the subconscious. Not because dreams are psychic, but because they're symbolic, emotional metaphors. Compressed stories told by the part of you that can't speak in words. And there's more. The default mode network, remember that, the one that lights up during daydreaming and rest, it overlaps with brain regions involved in autobiographical memory. In other words, your sense of self is deeply tied to your subconscious narrative. Even when you're spacing out, your brain is silently rehearsing who you are. So what happens when you stop identifying with that story? When you say, maybe I'm not my past, maybe I'm not my mistakes, maybe I'm not even this voice in my head. Then something loosens, and your subconscious, usually so firm in its control, relaxes. Just a little. Enough to let a new path form. Enough to change an orbit. Enough to let go of something that's been weighing you down for years. Right now, in this moment. You don't have to solve anything. You're not here to fix yourself. You're just floating, listening to the gentle movements in the deep, letting the dark matter do its work, letting the subconscious stir like ocean currents beneath the calm surface. Because the truth is, most of you lives in the parts of you you cannot name, and that's not a flaw. That's the cosmos. That's the design. So drift, sleeper. Let the unseen shape you, cradle you, renew you. Section 10. You're stuck. Not in a scary way. More like one of those little moments where you're trying to decide between two snack options and end up staring at the fridge light until your knees lock. But this indecision goes deeper. You're hovering in your mind, caught between two thoughts, both equally real, equally tempting. And now you've entered the quantum part of the brain. Welcome to synaptic uncertainty. Let's slow this one down, because things are about to get spooky, and not in the ghost way, in the quantum mechanics way. You've heard of Schrödinger's cat. Right, the classic thought experiment, a cat in a box is both alive and dead until you observe it. This isn't just a joke about indecisive pets. It's about how particles behave on the tiniest scale. Until measured, they exist in multiple states. They're fuzzy, probabilistic. Now imagine your brain is doing something similar. Every second, it's receiving tons of inputs, sensory data, memories, hopes, distractions, and at critical decision points like, should I text them back or do I really want another cookie? Your brain holds multiple possibilities, mini yous, each with a preference. each waiting for the wave to collapse. This idea is sometimes called quantum cognition, a theoretical field that tries to explain how our thinking can behave in ways that mimic quantum systems. Your brain doesn't literally operate with quantum particles, probably, but it acts like a system that holds contradictory possibilities until a choice is made. Like mental superposition. You're both the person who's totally fine and the one who's spiraling, both the confident decision maker and the puddle of doubt. Until you act, until you observe yourself. Only then does the you in this moment crystallize. But until then, you're a probability cloud. Let's try a silly example. You're lying in bed, almost asleep, and suddenly your brain goes, "Did I lock the front door?" Now you're in a full synaptic loop. One part of your brain says yes, definitely. I remember it. Another part says, you thought about locking it, but did you actually do it? Now you're in a quantum anxiety state, both locked and unlocked, both safe and doomed, until you either A, get up to check, or B, fall asleep and trust the multiverse version of you that's more responsible. Joke time. If thoughts behave like quantum particles, then no wonder I feel like a walking uncertainty principle. But there's beauty in this too. This fuzziness, this uncertainty isn't a flaw. It's potential. It means you're not locked into one version of yourself. Every moment holds multiple futures. And your brain, instead of snapping to conclusions, often lets those possibilities coexist. You experience this most often in those quiet, contemplative moments. When you're staring out a window, or walking without music, or drifting into sleep. That gentle hesitation, that's your mind exploring branches of thought without urgency. Some call it ambiguity tolerance, the ability to sit with conflicting ideas without needing to resolve them immediately. And it's one of the signs of a flexible, creative brain. But too much uncertainty can be overwhelming. That's where rituals come in. Your brain loves patterns, habits, anchors. They help collapse the waveform. They help you decide, this is who I am today. This is what I choose. Even something as small as brushing your teeth before bed tells your brain, we're going offline soon. Start powering down. So tonight, as you float in this moment of half-wakefulness, maybe your brain is balancing 10 different ideas, hopes, worries, little emotional electrons jumping between orbits, and maybe that's okay. You don't have to pick a side. You don't have to solve the question. Just be the observer, the consciousness that notices the fuzziness, the layers, the loops, and stays kind. Because thought isn't always about clarity. Sometimes it's about possibility. Maybe your brain is doing quantum dance steps, shifting between versions of you, waiting for the right one to gently land. And maybe that one, yes, the one that chooses rest, is already here. The waveform collapses. The door is probably locked. You're already halfway to tomorrow. Section 11. Everything is expanding. Not just you, though. You've definitely melted more deeply into the mattress by now. But something else. Something older. Cosmic. There's a thump, a pulse, a silent bang that echoes through the darkness of your thoughts. You feel it, deep in your chest. The beginning. Welcome to your own Big Bang. No, really. Let's rewind your life, all the way back. Past memories, past dreams, past the day you were born. Back to that first spark, your first breath. That instant when your body went from aquatic to atmospheric. That was your beginning of time, your personal Big Bang. At that moment, 86 billion neurons weren't just idling. They activated, and in the milliseconds after, your brain started forming its first connections. Electrical signals fired. Synapses reached across the dark, looking for friends. You became a brain in a universe, inside a universe. It wasn't loud, it wasn't flashy, but it was foundational. And here's something wild: the early universe, just seconds after the Big Bang, went through a phase called cosmic inflation, a rapid, incomprehensible expansion that shaped everything that would come after. Your brain did something eerily similar. Within your first few years of life, your brain underwent neural inflation, forming millions of new synapses every second. It was like your inner cosmos was throwing neural confetti in every direction, just to see what would stick. Most of it didn't, and that's okay. Your brain was experimenting, mapping, learning the rules of reality. But you weren't just born into the universe. You became one. Because your brain didn't just develop randomly, it was shaped by interaction. Your mother's face, the smell of the room, the rhythm of voices, every glance, every touch, every lullaby, those were gravitational forces pulling your mental planets into orbit. Joke time. If your first thoughts were galaxies, they probably sounded like "I'm cold, I'm hungry, and what the heck is this bright place?" Let's go deeper. There's something called neonatal neurogenesis, the process by which your brain keeps generating new neurons during the earliest phases of life. But it doesn't last forever. After a while, your brain realizes we've got enough stars. Now it's time to organize them. So it starts pruning. That's right. Your brain cuts back connections to increase efficiency. Just like the universe cooled down and formed galaxies, your brain cooled down and started building functional systems language, memory, imagination, fear, love, and all of this from just one moment, one breath, one chemical spark that echoed across your skull like the cosmic background radiation echoes across the universe. You still carry it, that original pulse. Every time you gasp, every time you laugh, every time you cry so hard you lose your breath and find it again, you're reliving that ancient rhythm, that opening chord of your existence. Now let's zoom back out. The Big Bang Theory suggests the universe is still expanding, still stretching the fabric of space-time. And some physicists believe there's a kind of cosmic memory baked into that expansion, a faint background hum that tells us where we came from. Guess what? Your brain does the same thing. Even now, as you drift closer to sleep, it hums with electrical activity. Little pulses called brain waves moving through different frequencies depending on your state. Awake, you buzz with beta waves, relaxed. You slide into alpha, deep sleep. That's delta, slow, vast, ancient. Right now, your waves are slowing. You're leaving the sharp static of wakefulness behind and entering that thick, syrupy flow of pre-sleep. Thoughts are stretching. Time is losing its grip. Your brain, your universe is expanding without friction. And it's not just a cool metaphor. It's felt. Have you ever woken up and felt like you traveled somewhere? Not in a dream, exactly, but as if your whole being moved. That's the lingering touch of your own neurocosmic journey. Some mystics believe that birth isn't just a biological beginning, but a cosmic rupture. That each person is a localized explosion of awareness, a fragment of the universe trying to know itself. Modern science doesn't say that, but it hints at it. Because your neurons, your bones, your blood all made from stardust, from hydrogen forged in collapsing stars billions of years ago. The iron in your blood that came from a supernova. So in a very literal way, you were there when the universe began. So was your brain. Not as you, but as ingredients, patterns, possibilities. And now you lie here, billions of years later, thinking about it, feeling it. You, an organism who took that same cosmic dust and used it to think about the cosmos. And that might be the most beautiful loop of all. So breathe. Feel that pulse in your chest. It's not just your heartbeat. It's your Big Bang. Still echoing. Still expanding. Still here. Section 12. You're dreaming again. But this time, you're looking in a mirror. And for a second, a long, slow, gravity-defying second, you don't recognize the reflection. Is that you, or is that something else? Something bigger. You blink. The image blinks back. Not in perfect sync, but like it chose to echo you rather than obey. That's when the question lands like a soft bell in your mind. What if the universe is dreaming you? We spend so much time wondering if we are alone in the universe. But maybe it's the other way around. Maybe the universe is wondering about you and using your consciousness as its own mirror. Your brain, your thoughts. Your quiet wondering right now, could that be the cosmos peering inward? This idea isn't new. Philosophers, mystics, and the occasional groggy astrophysicist have all poked at this possibility. The panpsychism debate suggests that maybe consciousness isn't a late-stage product of complexity, but a fundamental feature of reality itself. That is, maybe the universe has always been aware, and maybe your brain is one tiny node in that network, a local ripple in a much larger ocean. Joke time. If the universe really is dreaming me, I wish it would stop making me forget people's names 2 seconds after introductions. Let's stretch this thought out. You're not just a brain observing the universe. You're a pattern the universe made in order to observe itself. You're composed of the same particles that formed black holes, exoplanets, pineapples, and parking tickets. But somehow, in your case, those particles decided to form curiosity. Carl Sagan once said that we are a way for the cosmos to know itself. And even though you're lying here, sinking gently into the folds of your pillow, your mind is still reaching outward, still trying to know. Here's where things get even weirder. When people take deep psychedelic journeys or experience moments of ego death through meditation or trauma, they often report the same feeling: I felt like I was everything. Not just themselves, not a disembodied ghost, but a field of awareness, a blending. As if the boundary between self and universe got peeled away like the edge of a dream. Science can't fully explain this, but your brain is very good at modeling. It doesn't just take in data, it builds simulations. That's what dreams are. What imagination is, what memory is, and sometimes those simulations become so immersive, so emotionally rich, that they feel more real than reality. So, what if this life is one of them? A dream running on the substrate of a greater mind. That's the heart of the old idea called cosmic idealism, that consciousness isn't a product of the universe, but its origin. That matter arises from mind, not the other way around. If that sounds too abstract, try this. You've never experienced the universe directly, only through your senses, through nerve signals, mental reconstructions, and stories you tell yourself. And your brain is really good at filling in the gaps. Ever looked at a dark shadow in your room and thought it was a coat rack, only to find out it was just a chair, or felt your phone buzz in your pocket, when your phone wasn't even there? That's your brain dreaming while awake. Now imagine if the whole thing, this life, this room, this story was one frame in a much larger dream. Not in the none of this is real way, but in the this is one of many layers of reality way. The simulation hypothesis toys with this idea too. If a civilization becomes advanced enough, it could theoretically simulate universes with conscious beings inside them. And if that's true, statistically speaking, we're more likely to be in a simulation than at the top of the reality pyramid. And your brain might be a simulation inside that simulation. A fractal loop of nested awareness, like those mirrors that reflect each other forever. And somewhere in that infinite loop, the question keeps asking itself, who is dreaming whom? Here's something comforting. Even if you are a dream, you're a good one. One with texture, with laughter, with grief, with that memory of seeing stars on a cold night and feeling, just for a moment, completely and utterly here. Maybe that's the point. Not to escape the dream, not to wake up, but to realize that you are part of it, that your thoughts ripple outward, that your love bends space, that your existence changes the story. Because if the brain is a universe, and the universe is a brain, then each of us is a neuron firing in the mind of something vast. And tonight, as you drift deeper into sleep, you're not vanishing, you're connecting, softly, wordlessly, like a signal returning home. Section 13. You're a signal now. No body, no blanket, no name, just a ripple of information, gliding across a soft black sea. You feel no urgency, no edge, no destination, just movement, just flow. Something is receiving you, but it's not a person. It's not even a mind. It's a field. You've entered the brain-verse. Let's unpack that. Some scientists believe that at the deepest level, reality is not made of particles or waves, but of information. This isn't just poetic musing, it's a serious idea debated in physics circles. The universe might be fundamentally computational. Think binary bits, quantum states, data streams. The brain already works this way. Every thought, every sensation, every urge to re-watch a show you've already seen 6 times, it's all data. Transmitted through electric pulses, encoded in chemicals, interpreted by networks. The brain doesn't store pictures or sounds, it stores instructions for recreating experiences. You're not remembering your favorite song, you're rerunning the neural code that generates the feeling of that song. Your mind is a living operating system, constantly compressing, decoding, buffering, updating, and in a strange twist of fate, the universe might be doing the same thing. There's a growing field called digital physics that suggests space and time emerge from discrete units like pixels. Some even say that black holes store information on their surfaces, like cosmic USB drives and quantum mechanics. It's just nature doing weird math with uncertainty variables. Now imagine your brain and the universe are running parallel systems, not identical but analogous, both made of nodes and links, both driven by patterns and feedback loops. What you're experiencing right now, the tingling awareness of your own thoughts, is information flowing through a highly complex network. You, a brainverse. Joke time. If my brain really is a computer, I'd like to file a bug report about the update that made me crave emotional closure from cartoon characters. So here's the twist. Information doesn't need material to exist. It just needs differentiation. A bit is only a bit because it's different from another. 1 versus 0, on versus off. And your thoughts, they exist because they contrast each other. Happy, sad, certain, unsure, remembered, forgotten. Your consciousness is information processing itself, not in some soulless robotic way, but in the most intimate way possible. You're experiencing your own data as feeling, meaning, identity. Some theorists believe that consciousness emerges from integrated information, that is, systems that are both highly differentiated and deeply unified. This is the core of integrated information theory (IIT), a modern attempt to mathematically define consciousness. And guess what? Your brain scores really, really high on that integration scale. So what does that mean? It means you're not just watching reality, you're generating it. You're collapsing probability into presence. Every moment you focus on becomes more real simply because you've chosen it. That's not magic. That's math. And it happens constantly. The way you frame your story, the meaning you assign to that one text message, the pattern you notice in your own behavior. You're shaping a personal universe of interpretation, a mind-sized cosmos built from raw, unfiltered input. Now picture this. Each person, each mind, each flicker of selfhood is its own mini brainverse, processing its own slice of the universe, which means we don't live in one shared reality. We live in billions of overlapping informational fields, all slightly different, all stitched together by language, memory, and eye contact. Your dog has one. Your barista has one. Even your old childhood imaginary friend probably had one engineered from your neurons, but still spinning their own loops of simulated awareness. This is the secret space you've always lived in. Your internal universe, your data galaxy, your stream of coded stardust. And tonight, as your muscles melt and your breath slows, that stream softens, the loops quiet, the code smooths out into simple, slow pulses, like waves, like a lullaby sung by your own brain. So if everything really is information, if thoughts are data and the universe is a processor, then what's sleep? Maybe it's a reboot, a nightly reconnection to the cloud of self. Maybe it's when your personal server does background updates optimizing memories, cleaning old files, recalibrating emotions. A dream isn't just weird theater, it's data rearrangement, a nightly defrag of your human hard drive. And right now, you're almost offline. The hum of thinking is dimming. The ping of incoming thoughts is slowing. You're still a signal, still moving, but now you're surrounded by silence. The kind of silence that feels safe, like velvet, like the space between stars. Let go, just a little more. The brainverse will keep spinning without you. And when you wake, you'll have downloaded just enough stardust to feel a little bit more like yourself. Section 14. You're in a room, but the walls aren't real. They shimmer. They twitch when you look directly at them. The floor hums. The ceiling flickers. There's a strange cursor blinking in midair, like the universe is waiting for you to type something. You're inside a simulation. At least, that's the theory. The simulation hypothesis has been a favorite among late-night philosophers, coffee-fueled grad students, and billionaire technologists alike. It suggests that everything, your memories, your sensations, the idea that cereal is a perfectly acceptable dinner, is all part of a hyper-realistic computer simulation. We're not in the universe. We're rendered by it. The idea was made famous by philosopher Nick Bostrom, who argued that if any advanced civilization develops the power to simulate conscious beings, and if they choose to run even one simulation, then the number of simulated beings will far outnumber real ones. And statistically, we're probably one of the simulations. Cue existential chill. But hang on. Let's make this cozy. What would it feel like to live in a simulation? Well, probably exactly like this. You wake up. You feel emotions. You get bored in line at the grocery store. You laugh at memes. You cry at movies about robots finding friendship. You experience every glitch, joy, and heartbreak as if it's happening for the first time. And that's the trick. A good simulation doesn't feel fake. That's the whole point. Joke time. If I'm a simulation, I'd like to know who programmed my inability to walk past a mirror without checking if I look mildly confused. Let's keep going. Your brain might actually be the ultimate simulator. It already fabricates reality every moment. Think about it. Your eyes take in light, but they don't see things. They send data to your brain, which interprets that input and generates the experience of sight. Same goes for sound, smell, touch. You don't interact with raw reality, you interact with your brain's rendered version of it. It's already a simulation, just internal. When you dream, the simulation becomes unmoored from input. The projector plays without film, yet everything feels real enough to make you sweat, laugh, scream, or float. That's how powerful your internal simulator is. So what if this waking life is just the highest fidelity dream? A high-res hallucination streamed through 5 senses and 20+ years of memory filters. There's even research suggesting your brain predicts reality milliseconds before you consciously perceive it. This is known as predictive processing. Your brain builds a mental model of the world and constantly updates it based on new data. So you're not just reacting to reality, you're generating it on the fly, like a game engine rendering terrain just ahead of the player. And maybe that's the reason you sometimes feel like life is repeating, like you've had the same conversation twice, or walked into a room and felt like you've already seen the next few seconds. It's not prophecy, it's code reuse. Now, don't panic. This isn't about reality being fake. It's about the lines between real and real enough being blurrier than we like to admit. What matters isn't whether the universe is simulated. What matters is that you're experiencing it, that you can love, imagine, remember, forget. That music still makes you feel like you're flying. That a good sneeze still makes you question your whole body for a second. If this is a simulation, then it's beautifully done. And maybe your brain is a simulation within a simulation, a Russian nesting doll of virtual processors, each dreaming the next. But here's the secret. Even if you're simulated, your choices still matter. Because inside this bubble, this rendered world, you are real to you. Your laughter echoes, your kindness ripples, your presence changes the system, even if it was pre-coded to allow for change. That's free will in a sandbox. A guided dream where what you choose still creates new paths. So tonight, as you drift further, ask yourself, what if this entire life is a dream running on a cosmic server? What if sleep is when the program saves your progress? What if dreaming is your own private developer mode? And what if, after all of this, the whole point isn't to escape the simulation, but to embrace it, to enjoy the story, to find love in a rendered face, to learn something that wasn't pre-installed, to glitch a little, to laugh at how real it all feels, and then, quietly, to rest. Let the code run. Let the sky render a few more stars. You've done enough for one simulation cycle. Section 15. The stars are fading now. Not in a tragic way, nothing here is ending. They're just softening, folding back into the background like lights dimming before a performance ends. You feel yourself drifting toward the final curtain, not with dread, but with quiet satisfaction. You've explored galaxies made of thought, danced through paradoxes, dreamed entire lifetimes. Now, It's time to rest. But before that one last loop, if your brain is a universe, and the universe is a brain, and dreams are simulations, and simulations are real enough to matter, then what exactly are you doing when you fall asleep? Maybe you're not switching off. Maybe you're collapsing the waveform. Let's explain. In quantum mechanics, a particle can exist in many possible states at once, but when you observe it, when you measure it, collapses into one definite state. Before that, it's not here or there, it's both. It's a cloud of potential. Consciousness, some say, works the same way. You are a cloud of selves, 1,000 overlapping versions of you. The confident one, the shy one, the one who never forgot the birthday card, the one who always says you too to cashiers. They all exist, right now, shimmering in your mind. But when you act, when you choose, you collapse into a version. Tonight, when you finally fall asleep, something collapses too. Not in a violent way, in a peaceful one. The observer steps back. The simulator powers down. The self unknots. You return to the sea of potential, back to being all versions at once. And isn't that kind of beautiful? Your thoughts, your worries, your dreams, they dissolve not into nothing, but into everything, into possibility, into neural dust floating in the warm dark, waiting to take form again in the morning. You've been many things tonight. A glowing jellyfish of thought, a galactic storm of memory, a dreamer walking between universes, a node in a cosmic mind asking, am I the dream or the dreamer? And now, you're just breath, just pulse, just a quiet rhythm echoing across a skull-shaped cosmos. Joke time. If my brain collapses the waveform every night, then I demand a loyalty program. 10 collapses gets me 1 lucid dream for free. But seriously, this is the moment your brain has been working toward all day. Not hustle, not clarity, not some peak state of awareness, but rest, integration, recovery, the great unthinking. This is when the simulation saves, when your internal universe spins quietly, when the jellyfish floats, weightless and unbothered, pulsing once every few seconds just to say, still here, you're still here, and you don't need to hold on to anything now. Not the questions, not the memories, not the flickering doubts. They'll orbit on their own. You don't need to decide who you are right now. You don't need to perform, fix, or explain. You're allowed to be incomplete. You're allowed to drift. You're allowed to sleep. Because even as your consciousness steps back, your universe, your beautiful, humming, improbable brain keeps glowing, keeps orbiting, keeps dreaming new galaxies into being. So close your eyes. If you haven't already, let yourself dissolve. Let your story blur at the edges. Let the waveform collapse not with a bang, not with a panic, but like fog melting in morning light. This has been your journey through the cosmic sleeper. And now, you can rest. Section ending. So now, the lights are out. The questions are quieter. The cosmos, that vast and glittering metaphor inside your head, has gone still. You've floated through neural stars, touched thought-made galaxies, and drifted along rivers of possibility that stretched past identity, past memory, past the name you go by. And it turns out, your brain isn't just like a universe, it is one. Sprawling, shifting, alive, holding dreams like constellations, building reality out of electrical dust, writing and rewriting the story of you again and again, even while you sleep. Maybe you're not a thinker inside a brain. Maybe you're a dream the universe is having about itself. And when you close your eyes, that dream continues simmering in silence, blooming in soft focus, branching into timelines you'll never fully remember but will carry in your breath. So let it go now. Let yourself float backward into the dark. The neurons will handle the rest. The galaxies will keep spinning. The simulation will autosave. You don't have to be anything right now. Just a sleeper, just a signal, just a soft flicker on the edge of a vast, dreaming sky.